Oh, hi there, traveler. Pull us here up at the bar. I'll be with you in just a moment. So, made a decision? What can I get you? Coffee? Tea? House special? You could always stick around. Never know what you'll find at the tavern.
Hello, I'm Phoenix Arden, and I use they them pronouns.
And I'm Eve Handyside, and I use any pronouns.
And this is Talkin In The Tavern.
Pew pew pew.
We are back. It's episode 4?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I think so, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this time we've got another book tag list that we're doing.
Ooh. And we're doing today the anti-TBR tag, which I found with ZZ with books on WordPress. So yeah, we're going to go through all of the questions that are on that tag and go through them and give, answers, everything.
Yeah, I think the idea basically is that it's like, it's all books that you never plan to read,
Yeah.
right? That's why it's like your anti-TBR.
Yeah.
Let's launch right in, I guess.
Let's start with question 1, which is a popular book everyone loves but that you have no interest in reading. Which is an interesting one.
This is an interesting one. Oh, wow, same thought.
Same flavour. Because there's like so much, there's been a really big increase in reading because like TikTok and stuff, but like there's some books on there that are just horrendously bad that I will not touch with a 6-inch pole.
Both of my books are books that are big TikTok titles that I have no interest in. I have written more than one thing for every question just in case we have any matches.
I think I've done the same, apart from like one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it's just not good enough.
I'm sorry. I'm really bringing the podcast down.
You really are.
But yeah, I think I've got a feeling we've got similar ones for this one.
Quite possibly. So I have put Fourth Wing
Yeah.
by somebody.
can't
Rebecca
remember.
somebody?
Mhm.
Yaros? Is that her name? Rebecca Yaros?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure anyway.
Shows how
Awful.
much I want to read the book that I don't even know who it's by.
Great.
Yeah, I just I have no interest in it. It's
No.
like classic TikTok romantasy,
Yeah.
and that's all I need to know. And I'm like, no, I'm good, thank you. And also, the first book came out in like May, and the sequel is coming out in November. That's never a good sign
No.
when they're a
it's
few
not.
months apart. That means they are not good books.
No. And like I read the first chapter. I don't know how people are reading it because it's got those tropes that I really, really hate. Like I've got nothing against YA writing in like a big fantasy world, like adult fantasy setting, but it's the tropes of the characters. It's like the main character is slight and beautiful and really pale, and the male love interest is huge. And I was just like, this, and muscly, and I'm just like, this is just sounds...
I'm just picturing now he's just like a giant. It's like
This
King
man
Kong,
is a-
where he's got the women and he's like hanging off the fucking Empire State Building and he's got the women in one hand and there's all the planes.
He's pounding his chest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's
Knocking
what
down
that's what I'm
planes.
picturing in my head now. Except that instead of a monkey, it's just like an obnoxiously attractive teenage man. And
Perfect hair, coiffed.
Yeah, instead of the woman, I guess it's just like a stereotypically skinny teenage girl
Yeah.
who's not like other girls.
She's not like other girls, and it's just, and it's got the chosen one trope as well, and I'm not about that.
That is one of my least favourite tropes. We should definitely do a tropes talking in the tavern one day.
Absolutely.
Because I would love to just talk about different tropes.
Because there's just some that should be burned. Burned, please. Because chosen one, I really hate, but this book is just no. And like, I love dragons.
Yeah.
Don't do this to me.
Yeah.
Dragons are like favourite fantasy creature, and this book just sounds awful. And plus, romantasy is just not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was the first one on my list.
Yeah.
And the other thing I had on my list, also a big TikTok title, Priory of the Orange Tree by... Is that one Samantha Shannon?
Yeah, it is Samantha Shannon.
Yeah, I just don't care. I know that sounds rude, but
yeah.
I just don't care.
No, fair enough. I read it. It's not good.
Well,
it's so boring.
My
Nothing
sister
happens.
also read it. Not the one who reads a bunch. I mean, they both read a bunch, but not the insane one, the other one.
Yeah.
And she didn't like it very much either. And
It's...
between the two of you, I'm like, those are two people whose opinions I trust on books. I don't know about other stuff.
Don't know about everything else. Don't listen.
Yeah, no, I'm not interested. And from what I know as well, like it's been weirdly formatted to make it seem longer than it is.
Yeah.
So
it's only 700 pages or so, right? The huge hardback copy is like 700 pages. The Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson is 1400 pages and is smaller than it.
Yeah, they've like the formatting is I think very deliberate to make it look like a much chunkier fantasy novel than it actually is. But anyway, I have no interest in it. I know it's like one of the, fucking TikTok trinity of sapphic books or whatever, but I just don't care.
The sapphic relationship is not good, though.
That's
it's terrible.
Not a shock.
Because if, I might say like a minor spoiler here. One of the sapphic characters gets married to a man, right? And the man dies. So sad. Don't really care. He had no personality anyway. He was there for a chapter. But like, it was very obvious that they were gonna get together, but they had no romantic chemistry.
Oh no.
Literally nothing. It was kind of Crier's Worry.
Oh no.
Yeah, where they're just like, I like you now. Let's walk down this corridor.
Oh
if
no.
You know. And it also has dragons in it. And nothing happens with the dragons. They're in for like most of the book, and then like this last third of it, they leave to go somewhere, and I don't remember anything that happens because I think they just disappear.
Interesting.
It's awful.
I do
quite
like the cover though.
It's gorgeous.
It is a pretty cover.
It is a gorgeous cover. The dragons are so beautiful.
Yeah.
And the prequel book is also really, really pretty.
Is it a prequel? I thought it was a sequel.
No, there's a prequel. It's about... Because there's a queen in it, and it's about her great-great-grandmother.
I see.
Yeah. And I have no interest in reading that one. After putting myself through the first one.
Yeah.
It's not that good. The last one on my list was the Atlas 6.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know whoever
Olivie
that
Blake.
it was by. Olivie Blake.
Don't worry, I'm going to be talking about her later. I don't want
to. TikTok. Everything. If it's popular on TikTok, I'm probably not going to read it. And I tried again with this. I read chapter 1, put it down. Tell me what the hell happens. Nothing. Nothing happens.
Yeah, literally nothing.
Nothing happens.
I read the Atlas 6, and I read whatever the second book in the series was called. They're both horrendous books, and that's all you need to know.
Because I love a good book with no plot, but I like.
But there's a way to do it where it's interesting.
Yeah, this one had no vibes.
That's not what Olivie Blake does.
Yeah. Not for me. Shall we move on to the second question?
Yes. So the second question is a classic book or author that you have no interest in reading.
I struggled with this one.
I did not, but mainly because I haven't read and don't have any interest in reading most classics.
Fair enough.
Like, there's enough modern books to keep me going forever. I don't really feel any need to like go back to all these books that everybody says you should read because they're the best or whatever.
Yeah.
I know this is like discourse because Jesus. I remember there was this person on TikTok a while ago who made some video about how if you haven't read certain classics, you're not, really a proper reader, and it was just like such a disaster. And you
don't know what that was about. Like, come on.
I hate that mentality.
Yeah.
I think it is important to read books from different, times and whatever, but I also don't think that it's necessary to act like books that are from more recent time are somehow worse just because they're not like 100 years old.
Yeah.
So yeah, I found this one kind of easy, in a way.
Yeah.
Who did you pick?
I've
What
got
did you pick?
2 for this, because there was one that I've just got really no interest in. It is Mark Twain. Like, he did the Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn books. I'm not saying that correctly, but
Huckleberry.
Huckleberry, thank you. It's because like my uni lecturers love him, and I was just like, I've literally got no interest in this man. I forgot his name multiple times, so I don't even know what the books are about, to be honest. I'm more of a Edgar Allan Poe girly. But like the second one I have was I'll quickly say it's Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. I think hope I'm saying that right. Which is basically a book about not having monogamous relationships, and it's very raunchy, from what I've heard. So no, thank you. No thanks. I'm okay. It doesn't sound good to me. I'll stick with other dystopian stuff. Thanks. But yeah, those are the ones that just like not on my radar at all, just because of like general disinterest. But you know, other classics on the other hand, I really want to pick up kind of like War and Peace at some point. It's gonna. I know that sounds awful, but I'll put myself there at some point.
Yeah.
What did you put
sure.
down for this?
So I've put down two authors rather than specific books. So firstly, I've put Jane Austen.
Fair enough.
I don't have anything necessarily specific against Jane Austen. But I arguably would extend this out to most of the like classic, period drama books.
Yeah.
I just don't really care. I mean, I like a good romance, but if I want period drama, I just watch Downton Abbey,
The elite period drama. The best one.
Well, it's got good music.
It's so fun.
It's got what's his name and what's her face, who are, incredible. The butler and the head housemaid lady.
Oh,
yeah, what's his name and what's her face?
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking
Carson.
of Thomas, but it's not Thomas.
Carson is the butler.
Carson.
And Mrs. Hughes. Those two are the best part of that show.
Yes, thank you.
And that's
that
all
and
I need when it comes to period dramas.
That and Branson, thank you very much.
Yes, and Branson.
He's a pretty nice guy. Best period drama. But yeah, I kind of get where you're coming from. They're boring. A little bit.
Yeah, I just if I want to read romance, I'll read a romance that, is more recent and more up to date and probably gayer.
And gayer, yeah.
I have to be in a really specific mood to be able to put up with a straight romance. I don't feel the need to read all of the classic straight romance.
Do you not want to read The Love Hypothesis? Do you not want to do that?
God, don't get me started on Raylo.
Some Raylo fanfic for you there?
Jesus. And then the other name that I've put down here, very different vibe. George Orwell.
Okay, fair enough.
I've never read Animal Farm. I've never read 1984. I have no interest in reading either of those or any of his other books. He is one of these authors, and those are those books that everybody is always like, oh, you have to read these. They're so good, and they give you such a, political thought thing. That's all well and good if that's how you want to read books, but
yeah,
for me, personally, I read books for fun.
Yeah.
If I want a book to challenge me, I'll find a challenging book, but I don't enjoy reading books that are political allegory. That's not my vibe.
No.
I have my political views that I have developed in my life.
Yeah.
And I don't feel the need to read what is basically just political theory but as fiction.
Yeah.
That doesn't interest me at all. And I'm sure that's very controversial, and this podcast might just now be cancelled on the internet.
Oh no.
But frankly,
I don't want to read Animal Farm.
If it took this long, I'm impressed.
Oh no, a couple of years ago I was in a silly goofy mood and was in a stage production of Animal Farm.
Oh.
I'm not even kidding. It was so bad. Amateur theatre production of Animal Farm. And
God.
I was a cat in it. and I was just not having it with the political climate, and I would go on rants about politics, and I was like, what am I doing? What is this? Because it was so... oh, no. Silly Giffy Mid.
Clearly.
I will never do it again. Oh, no.
Oh, God. Okay, shall we move on to the next question then?
Yeah, this is the one where I've only got one answer for. So
Really?
Yeah.
I have 5.
You have 5? Okay. Well, it's because I squashed them into the one after.
I see. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fair
So,
enough.
this is an author whose books you have no interest in reading.
Yes.
Actually, I might actually bring this lady up later. Yes, I do. Donna Tartt.
Oh, uh-huh.
Because I read the super uber popular Dark Academia book that she did. The Secret History. Yes, The Secret History. No, just don't do it. Don't do it to yourself. It put me in month-long reading slump.
Oh, God.
Like,
that's never a good sign.
It was the reason I only read like 34 books last year. Was it? No, 2 years ago. I only read like 34 books that year. And it was just it's really bad. There's slurs in it. It's racist.
Nice.
It's quite homophobic. It's extremely homophobic.
Of course it is.
It's not good. I understand they're meant to have like unreliable narrator. Oh my gosh, but I hate it, and I have no interest in reading her other stuff because it just sounds really boring.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put myself through it.
Unreliable narration is one of those things that is either really, really good or really, really bad.
Yeah.
Like, you either pull it off excellently, cough, cough, Harrow the Ninth, or you shit the bed, and it's atrocious.
Yeah. Cough, cough.
Which I guess is The
What's his
Secret
name?
History.
Yeah, I was going to say Henry Winters. That's not the main character. I don't know who the main character is. Because I was thinking Ethan Winters for some reason. Because I have Lady Dimitrescu in my mind going, Ethan Winters.
I see.
But I don't know.
Does she often?
She's
show
often
up
in my
your
mind.
Eve?
Yeah, she's often in there. Just floating around.
Just floating around, just vibing.
Exactly. She knows what she's doing up there. But yeah, no, but leave it alone. Just there's better Dark Academia books. Like things like All's Well by Mona Awad. That's a Shakespeare. Is it a sonnet? Shakespeare sonnet. It's built like that. It's really well done. I can't remember which play it was, but that one's really good. I ate that. I physically consumed it. It was amazing. But yeah, who are you not interested in reading?
Okay.
Oh no.
So
I'm ready.
4 of these people can be quite neatly condensed now that I look at it. But I'm gonna just run you through the 4 of them anyway.
Okay.
So we've got Richard Osman, Anne
Yeah.
Cleves, Ian Rankin, Val McDermott. Basically, and I'm gonna talk about this later as well when we get to the genre question, but crime.
Yeah.
Most crime authors, I'm just not interested. Richard Osman in particular, because like from what I hear from people who have actually read the books and who aren't at that time trying to sell them to somebody, they're not very good books.
Yeah.
Like, I know people who do enjoy crime who have read Richard Osman's books and be like, they're bad. So, I don't know. And I just, yeah.
I tried and gave up.
We'll talk more about that when we get to the crime.
For sure. To the
Point,
crime. We're committing a crime
crime.
today.
Yeah, live on air, except we're not live, but you know.
Together on air. we're
Pre-recorded.
Pre-recorded crime.
And in the 5th one on this list, who I ummed and ahed about putting her on this one or putting her in the next one, but Cassandra Clare,
Yeah.
no interest at all.
Fair enough.
Like, I struggle with some YA anyway, and I feel like Cassandra Clare's stuff, particularly, what do you call it, the Mortal Instruments or whatever the fuck it's called,
It's not that good.
are, I think, particularly YA.
Yeah. Oh, and based
are
on
they not
fanfic.
infamously based off of
Fanfic, yeah. I can't remember what ship.
not
Was it
was
Har-
it not I was going to say, was it not Harry Potter Weasley incest fanfic?
Oh, yes, it was. It was Weasley incest.
So this is why she was maybe going to be a problematic author, but then I came up with 3 other people for that, so it's fine.
Technically it's still incest in those books. Even
of
though
course it is. Of course it is.
Because she's done it in such a way that their grandparents, it's basically 4 or 5 families, and their grandparents have all been together. And their grandparents before them have all been together, so it's kind of incesty. If you really look at the family trees here, it's giving.
So
no
interest in reading Cassandra Clare at all. Yeah.
I've read.
That's all there is there.
Did you have anyone else on that list?
Not for just an author that I have no interest in reading. Because the next question is a problematic author whose books you have no interest in reading.
I have 2 for this. 2 right away.
I've got 3.
Oh, okay. I think we've got. We might have 2 of the same.
We've probably got some overlap here. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead, Eve.
Colleen Hoover.
Oh yeah, she's on my list. Yep.
She's on.
Yep.
Sarah J. Maas.
Yep. She's the other one. Yep.
Yeah. Those are the 2 on my list. I'm trying to think who your 3rd one is. I'm trying to telepathically see.
I'm sending thoughts through my microphone at you.
Did you say you had Cassandra Clare here? No.
I was considering putting her here. Number 3 is J.K. Rowling.
Yeah. Oh my God. How did I forget?
Robert Galbraith.
How did I?
It's the same person. So let's start at the start with Colleen Hoover, shall we?
Yeah. Run away.
I don't think Colleen Hoover's books would particularly interest me anyway.
No.
But by all accounts, they are particularly bad because they weirdly glorify deeply abusive and traumatic relationships.
The colouring in book.
Yes,
yeah,
she was going to have a colouring in book
that
made
was interesting.
Based on one of her books. And then when everybody was like, oh, what the fuck? She was like, oh, don't worry, guys, I've cancelled it. Hee hee.
Hee hee, silly goofy moods. It was about, I was about to say All's Well That Ends Well, but that's not the book.
That's not the book.
It's the pink cover one.
That doesn't...
Ugly.
Help me. Was it Ends With Us? Is that what it was? It Ends With Us,
that's it. And it's about an abusive relationship, and that was... It had, like, portraits of, like, the 2 main characters, so the couple that was in an abusive relationship, they were going to be pages, I believe. And there was going to be a movie, which had Blake Lively, which has also been cancelled, I believe. Or it's either that or it's on hiatus because of the strikes.
Maybe it's that. Well, we can always hope that by the time the strikes are over, maybe Colleen Hoover will have, like, fallen out of the zeitgeist enough that they don't want to make a movie anymore.
Because, like, I see all these people getting into reading on TikTok, and they're starting off with Colleen Hoover, and I'm just like, please don't. There's so much better stuff to start out with, which we could probably make an episode about if you want to get into reading, read these books. But, because that would be a good episode, actually.
Book talk alternatives, like
yeah, that would be quite fun. But yeah, don't start with Colleen Hoover. Abuse books,
please
or
no.
like.
And if you're listening to this and you're a parent or you know a teenager who wants to read Colleen Hoover's books because they've seen them on TikTok, don't. There are better, more appropriate books for teenagers.
Yeah.
If your teenager is like 14 and has seen Coho books on TikTok,
do not give it to them. Do not.
Because they are deeply, deeply not appropriate for that age.
Yeah. Because there's like, I believe there was a graphic abuse scene. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, don't
wouldn't
don't
surprise
give it to them.
me. There's a lot of like creepy stuff and domestic violence stuff and sexual assault stuff.
There was that. There was incest in one of them.
Of course, there was.
So, and it's like mother and son or something. And no.
Anyway,
let's move on.
I think we've given you enough of an idea about why we don't want to read Coho.
Don't read her. Sarah J. Maas. What can we say about the fairy porn queen herself? Don't read her books because they're awful. There's better people who write books about fae. Because just no. Like, what was it? A Court of Thorns and Roses. or that series, also based for teenagers, like 13 years old, are about sex.
I don't think she aims them at teenagers. I think
Or
she,
publishers
to
don't.
her credit,
Yeah.
she was very clear when she started writing ACOTAR, because
Yeah.
her previous series had been YA,
Yeah.
and she was very clear that like ACOTAR is like new adult. It's for like 18 to 25 is where she aimed it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't stop people from advertising it to teenagers anyway,
Yeah.
and that's a problem.
For sure.
Um,
Because oh no. Plus, it was like in her original series, she uses people of color as plot points and kills them off and as plot devices. So that's fun.
there's lots of issues with her approach to people of color and LGBTQ plus characters.
Yes,
and
hugely.
I feel like I should specifically call out, just as like a point of problematic stuff, is that in 2020, when Breonna Taylor was killed in the US by police, Sarah J. Maas basically used that in an Instagram post promoting her upcoming book at the time.
Oh, she did? Oh.
Yes. She was literally like, hey guys, here's the date for my new book, here's the cover for my new book. What did you say? Here it is. I hope it's a bit of light for you guys today, given the appalling lack of justice for Breonna Taylor.
Oh
Like,
my
it's
God.
just so horrendously tone deaf. And that post is still up.
You're
So it's not
kidding.
like it was something that she did and then took down. It's still there.
How did she
So-
not get in trouble for that?
She did. She just left it.
Oh, Christ.
I also think there's definitely something to be said for her fans,
Yeah,
who
for sure.
have also been problematic at times.
At times, yeah.
So
It's-
I know some people who, would say that, like, even if her books aren't for you, whatever. But I think it is important to point out that she herself is not a great person.
No. Not
So
at
it's
all.
not just that we're like, we don't like her books, we don't want to read her books. It's also about her.
Yeah.
There's an important aspect there.
Because, yeah. I think that also helps us explain the next person on the list.
I don't
JK.
think we need to go into
Too much
proper
detail.
real detail here. Everybody
Yeah.
knows what's going on with J.K. Rowling, and
Yeah.
her alter ego Robert Galbraith. Yeah, don't read them. Don't
Don't
give her
read
money.
them.
She doesn't need it. She does just fucking fine.
The books aren't as that good anyway. Neil
Yeah.
Gaiman has a pretty similar
There are
book.
much better
Yeah.
books about magic school for children.
The School for
Find
Good
those,
and Evil.
read those.
The School
Just like
yeah,
anything is better than continuing to give money
to
to J.K. Rowling,
a
who does not need
bigot
it.
and a transphobe and
Yes.
a horrible. It's just she's just been horrible. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you don't
So-
know what she's done, Google it. Yeah.
I don't
Please.
want to give her any more time on this podcast.
Yeah. She's been mentioned. We're moving on. Read other people, like the Percy Jackson series, or
Yeah, there's
Literally
just so much
anything
out there
else.
that is better.
it's better. So
Um,
if these books
stop
stop
insisting on making your children read Harry Potter because you read Harry Potter as a child. No, let them
No.
read new books that are better, please. Thank you.
Yes, because guess what? People improve writing over time, and there's so many better books now. Go read
Yeah.
them,
Yeah.
please.
Okay.
Swiftly on.
Yes.
An
on to
author.
question 5.
Yeah. An author you have read a couple of books from and have decided their books are not for you.
Yes.
What'd you
So
put?
this is where I've put Olivia Blake,
Right, yep.
because I read the Atlas 6 and
Fair
whatever
enough.
the second book in that series was called. Mm-hmm. And I've also put on here friend of the show, Nina Varela.
Oh, she might have been on my
Because-
list as well.
We read that first book.
Crier's War.
We read Crier's War, and I have no interest in reading any of her other books.
If you haven't seen the episode where we talk about Crier's War, please go listen to it because we lose our absolute minds because the book
Yeah.
was awful.
Our Crier's War episode is
Unhinged.
I think I might even go so far as to say it's like peak
Peak episode.
episode.
We're both just sitting there like, what did we just read?
That was our June episode.
Yeah, it
It's-
hurt.
Yeah.
It hurt to
It's
read.
truly something.
For Pride Month as well. What did
Yeah,
we do?
We really fucked that one up.
We really did. We're
And
sorry,
I
Pride Month.
can only apologise.
Oh no. Yeah, awful. Don't read it. There's so many better
Yeah.
sapphic romance books. So many better
Yeah.
ones.
And
Yeah.
we've sort of touched on Olivia Blake already.
Yeah.
Her writing is bad. Her books are bad. The characters are bad. Don't read them.
Yeah. Exactly.
I read the first one. I was like, I didn't enjoy this, but I knew that the first one she'd self-published and then got
Yeah.
picked up by a publisher. So I was like,
They're-
I'll give the
oh.
second one a fair shake, because I was like, maybe now that she's had an editor from the start, it'll be better.
For sure.
And it was not. So
No, but like,
don't.
have you seen what's happened with the original pre-published copies, like the self-published copies? That's the word. Like,
No,
do you know
I
how
haven't.
much they're going for on eBay? Like a couple hundred.
Of course.
I'm just like, how has this happened? The book's not good. But okay, it's also
But
ugly.
it went big on TikTok, so
TikTok. Woo!
TikTok's
books
got
on
a
there
lot to
aren't great.
answer for.
Yeah, honestly. I'm similar. I talked about Donna Tartt earlier. Secret History, boring. I will not read her other two. Is there only one or is there two? I can't remember. Anyway, not gonna read her. She said some horrible things in that book, so I'm not going to do it to myself. I also have one other book, which I realised I haven't written down the author's name, but it's The Library of the Unwritten. I think it's like a trilogy, but I think it should have been left at the first book, so I'm not going to continue, but I'm counting it here because it was like The Library in Hell, which is such and like
A.J. Hackworth.
yeah. And it's got such an interesting premise. Like the book, A Library in Hell, the book characters that have not been, like, the books that haven't been written, the characters jump out of the books and try and escape to the real world and meet their authors, and it sends their authors insane, and it's up to the librarian to, like, keep them in the book, make sure they don't get to, like, the real plane and stuff. Fantastic first book, will not continue on, because I think it kind of wraps up in the first book, and should have probably been left there. I've read the blurb of the other two. I'm not interested. It just seems like the same stuff that was in the first book. So, I'm happy where it ended. So that's good by me. Some trilogies these days need to just be left as one book. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. Oh, this is going well. We're pissing off all the people.
We're gonna piss off everyone. I can't wait. Oh no.
So, question number 6 is a genre you have no interest in, or a genre you tried to get into, but couldn't.
Mine's self-explanatory. I'll let you go first.
I again got a few here.
Yeah.
I've put crime. I mentioned that earlier. I've put historical fiction
Yes, that's also on my list.
and litfic,
Yeah.
because those, yeah.
Litfic
I
is
can't can't do literary fiction. I just
No.
can't. I have tried. It just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I just find it intensely boring, and about half of the time, I also find it intensely pretentious. Mm-hmm. And I also find, and this is going to piss some people off, but big litfic fans often really pretentious.
Yeah. Love that.
So, yeah, no litfic.
No litfic.
What do you have on your list?
Romance. I have no interest in it. It just it pulls me out of the story. I'm not a big romance person. If there's romance in a book, fair enough. Like subtle, small romance, fine by me. But romance itself, I will not touch. I've already talked about the Raylo fanfiction. we're not gonna go in. Oh my gosh, that I don't get it. Or like romantasy, romance fantasy books like Fourth Wing. It's heavy romance in that book from what I know, and yeah, I've got no real interest in it. There has to be like something particularly attached to romance for me to actually be interested in the book. Romance on its own doesn't interest me.
you want the romance to be
A side
like
thing.
part of the book
Yeah.
rather than the genre.
Yeah, it's just it's not a thing I'm interested in. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Historical fiction, I just can't. I can never really get into historical fiction. Historical fantasy,
Oh,
I fucking love.
brilliant. Yeah. There was.
But when it's just like fiction that's just set
Yeah.
in the real world but in the past, I'm like, this is boring most of the time.
There was this fantastic book I read. It was a fantasy book. It was one of the there was basically this guy that was taught by Brandon Sanderson, and he released a fantasy book set during the Napoleonic Wars. Fantastic. It's got gunpowder mages.
Oh, wow.
That sounds incredible. And it was like they know they can set off gunpowder from like a million miles away, and it's just, oh my god, it was so fun. Like that kind of stuff's quite fun, but like some things set in history, not really my thing either.
Yeah, when it's just plain historical fiction, I don't like it as much. When there's fantasy elements to it, that's more interesting to me.
For sure.
And then crime, I just don't find it interesting most of the time.
Yeah.
I will say though, an exception. I read the first book recently, Rivers of London.
Yeah.
Because
Paranormal.
it's urban fantasy crime, and it's like paranormal, and there's gods and there's ghosts and there's magic and all this, and it's just a bit more interesting.
That series is pretty
But
good.
most of the time, crime, I just don't find it interesting. I just don't really want to read about like people dying and then people trying to solve the murder. It's just not interesting to me.
Fair enough. There has to be like something once again attached to make it more interesting. Paranormal crime, really fun. Crime, no.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like you read my mind.
We're actually one person. Just switching between
spooky.
mics really quickly.
And voices.
Yeah. And we're just talented voice actors.
That's us. Talented.
Talented. We're extremely talented. How did you not know?
Truly, nobody has ever been as talented as we are, I would say.
Let's move swiftly on to the next
yes.
question, which is a book you've bought but will never read. This book you could have unhauled or returned to the library unread. Yeah.
Yes.
A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I own it.
Uh-huh.
I still own it. I bought it for £1. And then saw the trigger warning list. And I've never been so genuinely concerned in my life. So I haven't picked it up. And it's been made into a stage play. Found that out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And some of the things that happen in this book, I don't know how they're putting it on the stage.
I also really don't like the cover.
Oh, it's ugly. It's literally just a wall.
Guy's face.
Oh, right. Yeah, there's two covers.
The other cover.
The crying
the
guy.
wall one isn't any better.
Yeah, no. The crying guy is disturbing to
it's
view.
like some. I think it's like some famous
Painting?
photograph.
Oh, yes. Photograph. Yeah.
But I really don't like it, and I think it looks bad.
It does look bad. It's because... Okay, but like when you're in public and you're reading your book, right? There, you see people and you kind of judge them a little bit on the cover of the book they're reading, and I don't want to because like people are gonna know it's depressing, and I don't want them to, know that I'm reading something really, really depressing. but like
my solution to that is just to not read things that are really, really depressing.
Yeah, see, just read things that are happy. Read Travis Baldry.
Just always read Travis.
Just
Baldry.
always read Travis Baldry. Or if you want to read something sad, read Gideon the Ninth.
Yeah.
And we can cry together. Because it's fantastic. Real tears. Oh, Gideon. What was on your list for this question? Or have you already said them? I can't remember.
I have not. I actually only have one for this one.
Oh, really?
Because most of the time, if I buy a book, it's because I definitely know I'm going to want to read it.
For sure.
And in this case, it is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke.
Oh, yeah.
I've still got Piranesi to read.
Uh-huh.
because I've heard really good things about Piranesi.
Uh-huh.
But Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, I was like, oh, I'll get this as well because, you know,
Uh-huh.
it might be good too. And then it sat on my TBR for months and months and months and months and months.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually I was just like, I'm never going to read this.
Never gonna get it. Sorry.
Yeah, eventually I was just like, this is never going to actually get read. Like,
Yeah.
it's just going to sit there. And it's thick, so it's taking
It
up a
is
lot
thick.
of TBR space.
It is thick.
And I was just like, I don't think I'm enticed enough by
Yeah.
the concept to want to read all however many hundreds of pages it is.
It is, for the plot-wise, it is giving Atlas 6. Because it is,
Yeah.
like, two wizards having a competition between each other. Like, fair enough. But, like, yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Mine's been on my TBR for a year now, but I don't know. I'm hopeful. One day. But yeah, I get it. We did actually talk about doing this for book club, but we ended up scrapping it for book club.
Yeah.
And I think we replaced
Yeah.
it with... Did we? Oh, we replaced it with Cursed Cocktails. That's what we did.
That's what it was, yeah.
What I loved that book. That was so fun. So I think that was
That was
probably
really fun.
probably
Definitely an improvement.
yeah.
And again, like, I know we've had this discussion, but I feel like books that are over, like, 500 pages for the book club are just a bit of a risk.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
Totally.
commitment
Yeah.
for this tiny little podcast. Like, ugh, I don't know about that. Okay. Question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8.
7, 8,
Question
9.
8.
Question.
Is a series you have no interest in reading, or a series you've started and then DNF'd? What do you got? What do you got?
What do you got? I have two for this.
Walk in here.
Yeah. We talked about her previously. Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. Never gonna read it. I read the first one. Plain curiosity. I was in a silly goofy mood,
fair
as
enough.
I've said previously.
Sometimes you have to test these things.
I had to test
you
the
know?
waters because
Yeah.
I this is evil, but I read it out of spite because there was this girl I went to high school with who loved the series, and I read it so I could tell her off. So I could
That
be
is
like, please
incredible.
don't read this, and I did it, and she wouldn't listen to me, so I read it out of spite for nothing,
No.
and then
What a waste.
and then promptly gave it to a charity shop. I wish I never bought it, 'cause, like, use your local library, please. If you, but
yeah.
awful. Don't read it. Next one is the Cruel Prince series by Holly Black. I read the first one as
yeah.
well. There's so I think I've come to the conclusion. I've come to the conclusion that I don't like Fae very much, or this like take on Fae that's uber sexy and evil and stuff. And it has Scottish mythology in it, and it's bad. Like, it has a red cap as like one of the main evil guys is a red cap, which is like a type of Scottish monster that like chases after you in the Highlands, and that douses their clothes in your blood, right? And he is just so wrong. It got really annoying, so I had to put it down. I didn't even finish the book. I think I got like 150 pages in, and I was just like, nah. This was like, what, 6 years ago or something? So I was like, I don't even want to look back at that time. It was like 14, 15. Ugh.
Fair enough, yeah.
Dark times. But yeah, there's bound to be better Fae books out there that are like somewhat
if you
accurate.
Want a Fae book that's sort of YA and legitimately good, I can recommend The Witch King by H.E. Edgman.
Oh, I've heard about that one.
Really good book.
I can visualize
Very
the cover
good.
with the person walking.
Big recommend.
strut,
Yes.
yeah.
It's purple.
Oh, yes. Even better.
Yeah, big recommend. Gay, trans, incredible.
Fantastic.
And not like really stereotypical, boring, sexy Fae. I
There's
mean, the
better
Fae guy
things.
in it is quite sexy, but you know.
Nah. He's stereotypical sexy, and I don't like that. If you're not pathetic, then what's the point?
You heard it here first, folks. Eve's on the prowl, but only if you're pathetic.
Only you're Pathetic. Okay.
Eve has a very specific set of requirements. You're gonna be slightly damp.
You gotta look like a wet puppy dog in the rain.
You've basically got to be Harrow Harknonagesimus.
Yeah.
Specifically Harrow the Ninth era Harrow Harknonagesimus.
Pretty much, absolutely mad.
Just mad, soggy, and sad.
The 3 S's.
Mad?
No, that doesn't have an S with it. Oh no. I don't want to talk about how I can't spell.
Oh god. Okay,
or can't listen. I can't. Oh no.
I put for this one, I put Game of Thrones because
Good.
I read most of the first Game of Thrones book and then was like, nope.
There's too much sex in it.
That was not my issue.
There was too much.
My issue was just I wasn't enjoying it. But, you know.
Why did
sure.
there was too much?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
You're Ace. Any amount of sex is too much.
I can't have I don't like it.
You're not a good representation
This is true.
of how much sex is too much sex for most people.
Even a bit of hand holding, I can't do it, you know.
Whoa! Oh no. That's a bit raunchy for this podcast.
That's whew, it's a bit too much. Sorry, I'll find myself.
Can't be talking about the H word like that.
Oh, sorry, I need to calm down a minute. Hand holding. Oh,
Take a cold shower.
I'm gonna go take a long walk. Okay.
And then the other one that I have for this one is Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
Because I read the first 60 pages of the first book and was like, this is so dull.
Mm-hmm.
I do not want to read 600 more pages of this and then however many more books there are after that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll watch the TV show because Rosamund Pike's in it and she's hot.
She's beautiful.
That's all I need. That'll do
Absolutely.
me. I don't care how accurate it is. I'll watch that instead.
Uh-huh.
I don't care about any of the other characters, but I like Rosamund Pike.
Fair enough. No, I've read the first 2. Boring. Nothing happens. Or stuff does, but they're just traveling. And
There was a lot of traveling.
it just feels like a road trip, guys. Woo. And yeah. And there is a slight
That's interesting. I would love a book that is just a fantasy road trip. That could be great.
That would be
but
cute.
That's not what it is.
No. They did I will say this one improvement thing for the TV show. They did improve the female character representation. The main female character
Yeah.
in the group of friends. She just comes along for the ride because she fancies the main character in the book.
Yeah.
But in the TV show, she actually has a chance to be the chosen one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the slight improvement. It's only on my TBR because Brandon Sanderson finished it. I will say that
of course.
purely for that reason. But I probably won't pick it up either, to be honest, because it was really boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question.
Last question. Woo! A new release you have no interest in reading. I have 2 for this.
So do I.
Yeah, fabulous. Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Dun, dun, dun. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Thank you. So, firstly, I have Stephen King has a new book out.
Yeah.
Holly.
I just don't really
I have no
like
interest
them.
in it.
I just don't.
I don't
no.
care for Stephen King. I don't care for psychological thriller shit, which I think is what this one is.
Yeah.
It just doesn't interest me at all. And then the other one that I have, which is technically not a new release because it's not out yet, but it's going to be out soon, and that is the sequel to Fourth Wing, which is called Iron Flame.
Yeah. It's better books. Go read them. Don't put.
We've talked already. We talked about Fourth Wing.
Yeah.
I don't need to explain that one. I'm not interested.
That was also on my list. But I think it just came out. The Shadow Cabinet by Juno Dawson. I read the first one.
Oh yeah.
And really didn't like it because it's about a transgender witch who wants to join the coven, and the coven people are not having it because they're kind of transphobic about it. and there's not even a point of view from the transgender witch. What?
Weird.
If it's about
That
them,
is strange.
then why
yeah.
don't have a point of view from them? I mean, the book as itself was actually alright, but I just would have loved more from them themselves, because they're barely in it, and they barely talk about it. They barely have any actual speaking lines in the book.
That's really weird.
It's really weird. It's purely just about the main group of friends in it, and how they deal with it, and about the sides they take against it. And I'm just like,
interesting.
And then the ending was awful, so I have no interest in reading it. The whole book was kind of a letdown, so
Fair enough.
I won't go near it. Yeah, and of course, Iron Wing,
Iron
Wing?
Flame,
Iron Flame,
Iron Man.
Iron Man. Are you here? Dude, I was about to start singing the bloody Superman soundtrack. Wrong one.
Iron Flame.
Iron
It's
Flame.
called Iron Flame. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's not gonna happen.
I'd also just like to say that Iron Flame and Fourth Wing, the cover is not very good.
Not really. It's just a circle.
It's a bit boring, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just like a circle on an orange background and there's some dragon silhouettes.
Come on. There's better stuff. Absolutely.
Be better.
Be better. Anyway,
Okay.
that's our last question. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we made it to the end.
So, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Talking in the Tavern. Phoenix, where can people find you on social media?
You can find me at Beans and Fungi on Twitter, Threads, and Instagram. Eve, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me at Cozy Crow, spelled with an S, at TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. That's the one I could not think of the name of.
The one.
You can find me on all of them under that handle. Heck yeah.
Nice. And make sure to follow the podcast. We are on Instagram at Hearth and Tome Pod, Twitter at Hearth and Tome, and TikTok at hearth.and.tome for, updates when episodes are going live and behind the scenes bits and bobs, clips, etc.
All that jazz.
Make sure as well to keep an ear out in 2 weeks' time for our September book club episode, which is going to be about A Natural History of Dragons by Marie Brennan.
Woo. A good dragon book.
Of course, keep an ear out as well in a month for another Talking in the Tavern in October, where we'll probably be talking about some spooky bookies.
Heck yeah.
Because it is the season
It is
of
the season.
spookums.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.
The music used within this episode was Wholesome by Kevin MacLeod. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license from Incompetech